friends, today I'm going to share with you a true story about a beggar woman, an incredibly beautiful and young woman. When she went out to beg, people would be mesmerized by her beauty. Taking advantage of her looks, she managed to trap a wealthy old man in the web of her charm and forced him to marry her. But the old man was no fool. He said, "Before we marry, I want to spend a night with you. If I find you to my liking and you fulfill my desires, I will marry you." So in today's sensational story, we'll find out, what was the old man's condition? Was she able to fulfill it? And did they eventually get married or not? This is the real-life story of a girl who once wandered the streets, begging just to survive. Hunger, loneliness, and poverty had shattered her life, but she never gave up. Time changed, and fate made her the owner of the very house where she once begged for a piece of bread. Remember, for some, a concrete house might just be a structure of bricks and walls, but for others, it is a symbol of dignity, identity, and a new beginning. The lack of a roof isn't just about missing shelter, it means lacking a safe life. And when a woman is alone, hungry, and surrounded by poverty, that struggle becomes even harder. The story begins in a small village, where a simple yet courageous girl faced poverty, disgrace, and abandonment and carved a new path in life. It was midday, scorching hot. A narrow lane led to a frail girl of about 22 years, walking with trembling steps. Her face was paled, eyes sunken, lips dry, and her clothes were stained with dirt. She hadn't eaten for days. Her body was failing, but hope still burned in her heart. After knocking on several doors, she stopped in front of a large, concrete house. There was helplessness on her face, but prayer still on her lips. In a shaky voice, she called out, "For the sake of God, please give me something. I haven't eaten in 3 days." She kept repeating the same plea, but there was no response. The door remained shut. The walls were silent, and the air still. She turned to leave in disappointment when suddenly a voice came from behind. "Wait, sister, I was in the bathroom, that's why I took time." She turned and saw an old man at the door, around 55 years old. He was dressed cleanly, with a strange, soft smile on his face, as if lost in thought. His name was Rafik. Rafik looked closely at the girl, as though he had seen her somewhere before. She repeated in her quivering voice, "Sir, please give me something to eat. I haven't eaten in 2 days. I'm very hungry." Rafik stared at her face for a moment and then softly said, "I feel like I've seen you somewhere." She lowered her head and replied, "Where would you have seen me, sir? I just wander the streets, begging." "Maybe you saw me somewhere." Still staring at her, Rafik thought for a while and then asked, "Aren't you Netsa, Shaimala's childhood friend?" The girl's face lit up with surprise. "Yes, my name is Netsa. But how do you know my friend Shaimala?" With a faint, sorrowful smile, Rafik replied, "Shaimala was my wife. We were husband and wife." Shock and sadness appeared on Netsa's face. Hesitantly, she said, "But Shaimala's husband was thin and frail." "You look quite healthy." Rafik laughed. Time and circumstances change a persona, both body and soul. A gleam of old memories returned to Netsa's eyes. Composing herself, she asked, "If Shaimala is inside, may I meet her? It's been so many years. I wish to see her." Rafik's smile faded. His eyes dimmed. Taking a deep breath, he said, "Shaimala is no longer in this house. She left a long time ago." Netsa froze at his words. She looked silently into Rafik's eyes and softly asked, "What happened? Why did she leave?" Rafik lowered his gaze. After a pause, he said in a heavy voice, "She was in love with someone else. I tried my best to stop her, but her heart already belonged to another. One day, she quietly left with him." Then he added, "Our parents had already passed away. Now, it's just me and my younger brother in this house." Netsa stood silently, her face strained of hope. The fate of her childhood friend broke her heart. She thought, Shaimala, who used to be the center of our laughter, how could she make such a grave mistake? Rafik noticed her silence. He smiled faintly and said, "That's probably why I recognized you. When I used to drop Shaimala at her parents' house, you were always there, so full of life, always joking. That's why your face stayed in my memory." Netsa smiled faintly, but tears welled in her eyes. The old memories brought tears she could no longer hold back. They rolled down her cheeks. Seeing her condition, Rafik spoke with sympathy. Let it go, Netsa. Why burden yourself with the past? Tell me something. A broken bar. I heard you got married. Then how come you're on the street in this condition? That sentence broke Netsa's silence. Her eyes overflowed, and she began to sob uncontrollably. Perhaps years of pain had been locked inside, and today someone had touched that old wound. In a heavy voice, Netsa began sharing her story. Rafik, I got married a few years ago, but that marriage brought me no happiness, only wounds. My husband had a terrible temper. He'd beat me for small things, hurl abuses, and often lock me in a room all night to cry alone. My life became a prison. She paused, tears filling her eyes. Eventually, I returned to my parents' home. I thought I'd find some peace, but a few days later, he sent me divorce papers. For him, I was never truly a part of his life. The marriage was just a formality. Her voice trembled as she continued. After the divorce, I stayed with my parents, but that peace didn't last either. Within months, both of them passed away. Then I wasn't just broken, I was completely alone. Netsa's tone darkened. I thought at least my brother and sister-in-law would accept me, but they treated me like a burden. Constant taunts and humiliation, like I was an outsider. Eventually, I left that house too. Rafik listened in silence as Netsa continued. I began looking for work, sometimes in shops, sometimes in offices, but everywhere, people tried to take advantage of my helplessness. No one saw my hard work, just my loneliness. Finally, I decided to work in homes. I thought maybe there I'd find respect, but even there, in some homes, I faced vulgar behavior. So I learned to stretch out my hand. I began begging. Her voice had become so soft, her words came out with difficulty. Now I live in a tiny rented room. I don't take favors. I survive on whatever I get. With that, she fell silent. But her silence said everything. Rafik couldn't hold back his tears either. He felt her pain as his own. They sat quietly for a while. Then Rafik gently said, Netsa, if you don't mend a broken bar,